Oh, what's up, heathens? How y'all doing? It's been a few weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something. I don't know. Fuck. Anyways, I am. Yes, tonight we're doing a fundraiser thing, trying to help out the Lions fundraising goals. Now, of course, there's Forrest and Austin Archer that's over there on the line right now, so I am definitely interfering with them, but I will be taking any calls that anybody wants to, if you guys want to hop on and ask me about it, ask me a question or something like that, feel free. Can be any topic, anything whatsoever. I'm not too particular on that particular end. Enter my PIN. What? Facebook Messenger. Okay. Let's see. I, however, am not popular enough to make it onto the thumbnail for the mega fundraiser. I'll be there from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow, but I'm not important enough to be there. What's up there, Big Zebra? Casey? How you doing, baby? And Ashlin, I see Ashlin there. All right, so if you guys want to call in, the phone number, it's on the screen and everything. I think it's in, yes, it's in the description too. You can also call in. I forgot to put that there, but I will get the link that I. Oh, yeah. So you can donate on the on the screen on the chat menu down there. There's little hands that make a heart. It's really cute. You hit that, the donate now, and you can donate to RFR, Recovering from Religion Foundation or whatever. So you can do that there, or you can subscribe to the channel here. Thank you so much for doing that. Sorry, I didn't see who did that. Anyways, so call 206-634-6984. I am gonna get the web call in. I accidentally closed my link thing. Call Godless engineer. Where is? Nope, that's my subscribe link. That's my TikTok. Oh, call Godless engineer. There we go. Let's see, copy link. Okay, put this in the description here. All right, I just updated the description with the web call-in client. If you want to call in over the web, you can do that too from your phone. Just with your phone, if you're on for a while, you may end up getting your phone may go to sleep and it could not register that you're talking or whatnot. So you'll just have to make sure you keep your phone awake or whatever. But let me get my calls. No calls. So in lieu of calls, what I'm going to be doing today is playing Oblivion. If you would like to donate, remember, do the donation link down there. Anything helps. Donate. Let's see. I can donate. I will donate $20 from my PayPal. $20. I'll kick us off here with the $20 donation. Maybe I did it. Sunian says, fuck around, find out. Okay, I did a donation, but I don't think that it showed my name. Oh, you got to click the thing. I donated, but it did not show in the thing. I fucked up on that one. Anyways, so I do have Oblivion up that I'm going to be, playing in lieu of any calls that are coming in. Let's see. I need to pop this chat out. About the chat. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting resituated up. We got some likes coming in. Okay. All right. So I got my calls up. If anybody wants to call in, feel free to call in. The number's 256-634-6984. You can call in and talk to me about anything. I would love to talk to anybody and everybody. But like I said, in lieu of any calls that are coming in, I will be playing Oblivion, which I know everybody wants to see me play, because that's why my gaming channel is so popular, and I play over on GE Plays all the time. Have you considered dual streaming? Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is that I really don't want to bog my system down too much, especially not tonight if I'm going to be playing like Oblivion at the same time. And I know that the way that like Justin and all them accomplish that is that they have TikTok Studio open, and so they stream to TikTok Studio, and then they open up Slobs or something, which is the Streamlabs OBS, and they do a screen capture of YouTube, TikTok Studio, and then stream it to YouTube through Slobs. And so, like, I think that's how they do it. Maybe not, but who knows? Anyways, so I've been really wanting to play Oblivion. I played a little bit while I was on vacation, but I broke my fucking Steam Deck, and I've got to get it sent in, and so I haven't been able to play it in a long time. As far as like, this week goes. But to talk about, what's up here, that Jesus probably didn't exist, the Bible isn't true, as well as, the title of the live stream tonight, just so that, I am a mythicist. I do not believe that Jesus ever existed in history, especially not the gospel version of Jesus, but also I don't believe that the biblical version of God exists either. I have a lot of different counter arguments for the popular apologetic arguments that many people lobby my way as far as God and Jesus goes. So if you want to call in and have a discussion on why you think Jesus probably did exist, or why you think the Bible's true, or why Yahweh exists, or any of the other gods out there do exist, then please call in. I'd love to interact with you, and I can discuss with you why you're wrong. Anyways, so we are we don't have any calls. Excuse me. Gotta drink my Rockstar. My southern accent is on point. I was just in Texas. Yeah, I'm sure it's easy to pick up. I mean, I back when I was having to make calls to vendors for my job, they always were surprised to learn that I've lived in North Alabama my entire life, because they always say that you don't sound Southern, and it's like, I can put the Southern slang on real quick, okay? And so yeah, that's hilarious. Okay. Let me see. All right. I do need to fix my overlay. So before we get to Oblivion, I'm gonna fix my overlay real quick. Has anybody here played Oblivion? Oh, Big Zebra donated $20 to RFR. Thank you, Big Zebra. I don't think I have my notifications up where they'll do the donation stuff. So I mean, that's a fault on my part. Getting this done really quick here. What was I doing? I was fixing my overlay. That's right. Dirt. Okay. DGP show overlay. Photoshop beta. Godless engineer. Oh shit. Hold on. I need to get the chat back. Don't thank me too quickly. I used a fake credit card. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that it would have gone through if it didn't work. But I'm glad that you protected yourself in that way, that it was a credit card that still, that, you can just use once or whatever. Let's see. This is 9 May 2025. Okay. Okay. There we go. Overlay. Export this bitch. Boom. Place. And it should update the screen. 9 May 2025. There we go. Okay. What are we breaking over here? We're breaking everything. I broke my notifications. My notifications aren't coming up. So if you're just now joining us, if you want to call in and talk to me, ask me questions about why I don't think that Jesus existed or anything like that, please do call in at 256-634-6984. And I will have a conversation with you about it. But like I said, we are going to be doing the gaming thing, which I do need to set up my Stream Deck. Hold on. I gotta add a button, an OBS button. Is it OBS Studio, record, scene, collection? No, not a scene. Scene transition, nope. Transition, nope. Studio mode, nope. Scene. Gaming. Go. Oh, we need to add 2. We've got to add a scene for gaming, and we gotta do a scene for the call in. Did Jesus exist call in? All right. So now we got those added, and I can switch back and forth pretty quickly. So still nobody calling in. Long time no see from Mary Johnson. What's up? Hey there, Ember. How you doing? Hope you're doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so I guess we'll switch over to Oblivion. Let me see if it'll actually run and get things set up over there. So I do have a lot of content that I'm working on getting edited for like the shorts stuff. I did a whole bunch of recordings while I was on vacation. The ones that I still need to get up are from the Arches National Park. That I've got some where I kind of go through what I could see as a creationist argument against evolution or against I guess uniformitarianism or the natural explanation for how the earth got here. And that's through these arches. I could see a creationist being like, oh, how did that arch is a complex object. How did that develop without somebody guiding it or somebody creating those things? They totally forget that these arches, because they form naturally, they also are subject to the natural pressures like gravity, and so there have been arches that have fallen, have collapsed. Oh, we've got Big Zebra calling in. Let's see. This is the first time I'm running Oblivion on my PC, so it's having to run install scripts and everything like that. So let's get Big Zebra on here to talk about why Jesus didn't exist. What's up there, Big Zebra? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Can you tell me if my audio is good or not?
Yeah, you sound good. You're coming through. I've got you on my video sources and everything like that, and you're definitely in the scene, I believe. So everybody should. People in the chat, let us know if you can hear Zebra. If not, then there's something wrong and I need to figure it out. But anyways, how you doing there, Big Zebra?
I am doing okay. I felt like I really had to call in a donation because I often complain about not having any money, and I just spent a lot of money on myself.
Oh, okay.
So I felt it was sort of like a do-gooder tax. You spend a lot of money on yourself, you should do something for somebody else.
Oh yeah,
And
no, I totally understand that. That's why I try to, anytime that there's some kind of fundraising thing that comes up that I see somebody's putting on, or somebody, is raising money for a good cause, I'll generally throw some money their direction.
yeah, yeah, and it might make me inclined to spend even more money on myself.
Oh yeah,
And I
it's
don't
a
know
vicious
about
cycle
charity,
then, huh?
but yes, yeah, exactly. No wonder I'm broke. It's just how it works. I wanted to ask, because I called before about um, mythicism,
Hmm.
and I remember, of course, there's Richard Carrier, who's famous for his book on the subject. But I know there are others and other scholars who are mythicists,
Hmm.
but I can't think of their names, and I'm wondering. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but are there other people you would recommend?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's Raphael Lataster. Now he's a little bit of a mixed bag, because on one hand he's got some crazy shit that he sort of writes about and everything. He's a bit more conservative, and so, like, outside of the historicity of Jesus and the reliability of the Bible and the New Testament and all that, he's a little bit of a kook. But there's Raphael Lataster, yeah, and much in the same way there's um oh, the who wrote the Incredible Shrinking Son of Man? Uh,
Isn't that Richard Price, or
oh,
do
Robert
I have this?
Price.
Robert
Yeah,
Price, thank you.
Robert Price. Yeah, Robert Price. He has some decent books out there on mythicism.
Hmm.
And as far as like scholars go, like, I mean, he 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 goes a little bit too far sometimes. So like those you
Hmm.
kind of have to take. You have to be a bit more critical of Robert Price. But Raphael Lataster's stuff on the historicity and the reliability of the Bible is really good. Um, there's as far as a non-scholar, David Fitzgerald has a bunch of books on it, and I would
Oh, he
suggest
wrote
him.
Nailed, right?
Yeah,
He- yes.
Nailed, and then there's Mything in Action, which is a 3 volume set, and then he's got
Ah.
books on other things like Playing God is Fitzgerald's most recent, and he goes through the whole evolution of religion and how that developed over time. So that's a really good book too, as far as just and I guess anti-religious sort of content there.
Mm.
So definitely check those out. Outside of them, like there's not so much mythicist scholars, because it would be really difficult to be a mythicist scholar in this particular climate.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mhm.
like Richard Miller, he comes like pretty close. Like he rides that scholarly line on between mythicism and historicism, pretty close. And so I
For
would say
for some
Richard.
reason, I'm thinking Richard C. Miller.
Richard, I don't. I'm
I
not sure
I
if it.
don't. That's just flew into my noggin. Such for what good worth that is. But yeah, it seems so dangerous for scholars, because if you wanted a new position at a university and they check your bona fides, and it turns out you wrote a book that said Jesus didn't exist, you might have trouble getting a job.
Yeah, well, that's why. When Carrier he graduated, with his PhD and everything, he noticed that like there was a lot of like politics going on in like the scholarly community, and with scholarship, or not scholarship, but scholar positions like at universities and stuff, and so that's why he chose to go independent scholar rather than work at a university. He just didn't want to deal with all of that kind of bullshit, and we've
Yeah.
actually been seeing a lot more of these scholars go the independent route, just because it's a whole lot easier, like to do the kind of work that they want to, like Dan McClellan. He was Dan McClellan's really good. He's not a mythicist, obviously. He thinks mythicism is like a quack thing, but Dan McClellan's really good for like information on like the New Testament and the Old Testament and just Christianity and the Bible in general. So I would definitely suggest any of Dan McClellan's stuff, which I think he's got a book that's coming out, and I would highly suggest it because he's got great information. Even if I do disagree with him on the historicity of Jesus part, everything else that he does is awesome. So I would suggest him. Richard Miller.
Maybe your call dropped
Huh?
out. I thought your call dropped out there for a minute, and then I started talking. I was wondering if, for a long time, I know that Moses was considered to have been a living person, and now almost no scholar thinks he was a genuine person.
Right.
And I'm wondering if there's any sign of the tide turning against Jesus.
Well,
I mean, there aren't many.
Yeah. And I think that a good, I guess, case study almost in that is just how Bart Ehrman has changed over the years. Because if you look at Bart Ehrman just prior to 2014, he wrote Did Jesus Exist? And he was staunchly against mythicism and a lot of the arguments that like Carrier makes and everything. And he makes a lot of arguments against Carrier's position and against a number of Carrier's talking points. But then later on in like How Jesus Became God and some of his other subsequent books, you see him actually turn around on a number of points to where now he agrees with Carrier on a few things. Very nuanced agreement. Yeah, a very nuanced agreement on things. Like the one thing that comes to mind is whether or not Paul considered Jesus to be a pre-existent angelic figure in pre-existent in Judaism. And that was something that he previously had claimed was just, crazy insane to actually say about Paul and Jesus. And then later in How Jesus Became God, I believe it is, he actually turns around and he's like, no, Paul in these passages says this is, Paul admitting that Jesus is a pre-existent angelic figure. So like he does turn himself around. So all of this to get around to saying that every time there's been an opinion that has changed in this conversation, it's always been on the scholarly level. It's always been getting closer towards mythicism and the mythicist hypothesis rather than moving away from it. And so I think that over time, what we'll see, and as we distance ourselves from this initial, like, I guess, growing pain of this idea of becoming a bit more legitimate through the scholarship, I think that we'll see more and more people start to leave that dogmatic view behind and start accepting a more reasonable and rational view of the origins of Christianity, which I feel is going to be much more mythicist in nature. And so I do think that it'll eventually get to the point where it's like, nobody believes that Moses was a real historical figure as the way that the Bible describes him. And if we were to go by that particular metric, I would say that most critical scholars in New Testament studies already think that the Jesus that's portrayed in the Gospels is not a real historical figure.
Right. Yeah, it just seems, I don't know, once a person becomes no longer religious, it seems that Jesus is sort of, I don't know how to describe this, like a painting that is gradually being added to layers, background. So you get stories about his youth, which don't make a lot of sense, but sound really good. And it seems kind of sad because if there was a Jesus, he might have been a very interesting person or a complete loony for all I know.
Right. No, yeah, I think that the
But
most likely model for a historical Jesus is, you know, just some kind of itinerant rabbi that, you know, probably had visions of God, or had, you know, these
mm,
novel, I guess more novel ideas about God. And I think that was probably the more realistic version, you know,
mm,
of Jesus. Um, and but still, I don't think that we have any. I don't think that we have any evidence for that. I think that if he were to be real, I think that would be, you know, the Jesus that did actually exist.
right. I'm sort of reminded of Life of Brian, where there's a scene where Brian finds himself along with 3 or 4 other loonies uh, discussing biblical topics, and
Yeah.
I, I, I just, you know, it may have been exactly like that, and here we are now arguing about whether or not Jesus existed. It's kind of funny in a way. As serious as the subject is, I think it's kind of amusing somehow.
No.
Anyway, by the way, I don't want to. If you've got something you've got to attend to for this fundraiser, go for it, because I could talk your ear off, and that's not fair.
No, I mean,
The
oh, go ahead.
Oh well, I was just thinking about Jesus, and you know, Jesus gets the New Testament, God the Father gets the Old Testament, and the Holy Spirit gets a cameo. And it seems
Right.
to me these uh, three persons of God, one of them is getting really short shrift, you know, getting the
Yeah.
short end of the stick. And maybe due to cutbacks, we can cut them out. You know, we all have to tighten our belts. Oh, that's awful. That's got to be sacrilegious right there.
Speaking of sacrilegious, what do you think about the new Pope?
Oh, well, I was raised Catholic, so I'm really quite surprised that they allowed an American to become Pope, because a lot of Americans are more liberal, strangely, are more liberal. The Catholics in the US are more liberal. And that would have really, I think, turned up their noses at an American Pope.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised they did it. But I imagine that the more time goes, we'll find out that this guy is more conservative than we think initially.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I kind of got that feeling too, that, you know, he, like, there are plenty of things that seem all right, pretty good as far as like what you would want to hope. For one thing, he pissed off MAGA people, so like that's all automatically like a good thing, right? But but I mean, at the same time, like, there's at least 2 instances, I think, of him like either hiding or protecting kid diddlers, and then
ooh,
yeah, and he's also not exactly all that progressive on LGBTQ issues. So, like, that he still has his problems, but I do appreciate the fact that he pissed off the MAGA cult.
yes, he dared to suggest that the newly minted Catholic J.D. Vance may not really understand the Bible as well as he thinks he does. J.D. Vance had that notion that different amounts of love should be given to people depending how close they are to you. So
Right.
you just shouldn't really care about refugees or anything like that. And the Pope did not take well. The new Pope did not take kindly to that,
Right.
and let him know on his Twitter account, as I recall. The
Yeah.
But it's just also kind of weird that popes have Twitter accounts now. They used to use papal encyclicals, and I suppose they still do. but just for the more academic style of Catholicism.
Okay. Sorry, I got distracted.
Maybe that's too technical.
No. Can you repeat it? Sorry, I was focused on my
Sure,
Oblivion game over here. Can you repeat that?
sure, no problem. Um, the Pope will send out like letters that will end up being read in all the churches
Mm-hmm.
worldwide, and I think they're called papal encyclicals. But I may have that wrong. It's been a long time since I stepped foot in a church. So I may have that a bit wrong. Also, they sometimes send stuff to bishops, which are then forwarded to the churches. What is this? Ember says, do you suppose they pick the pontiff by playing musical chairs with the throne of St. Peter? Yes, that's exactly how they do it. And that's why they don't let people have cameras in St. Peter's. They use the Sistine Chapel for the voting process in the conclave, I think. And I'm trying to remember now. They've got to do this shit somewhere. And the Vatican is good because you can get prostitutes into the Sistine Chapel via an underground tunnel. So nobody knows.
Yeah.
I just made that up.
Hey, Facebook has done away with fact checkers. Now it's all community notes. So you'll just have to wait to get community noted.
Yes, and the press is when they like at Fox News, it turns out you save a lot of time on reporting if you don't care what the facts are. And you guys have Newsmax now too, right? There's Newsmax, Fox News, and I think there's another one like News Nation. That's like all conservative all day.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard of News Nation, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was it.
Yeah, well, I guess I should look these things up. It's just that watching them for any length of time, your brain starts melting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree about that.
I don't know. How do you Americans keep your sanity? I'm up here in Canada, and like we don't even live that close to Washington, D.C., and we're sick of Trump already. But you guys have to live with the consequences more than anybody else.
Oh, we definitely do. And so the way that I keep my sanity is that I try to shit on Trump publicly as much as I can. And I really don't I don't have a problem with people that leave shitty comments like on any of the stuff that I do, because I definitely want to get those kinds of comments like from those people, because it's like, hey, if you're sitting there defending the fascists, you're definitely on the wrong side. So I really don't care what they think. And people have been have complained and have really taken shots at me, I guess in the comments and whatnot. So I'm, that's how I keep my sanity, is I shit on MAGA cultists and Trump just all the time.
Oh my God. Well, I admire the stick-to-itiveness to not give up and just throw up your hands. And also, you have the Democrats, which are always exploring new and interesting ways to lose elections. It's a miracle that there are any of them left at all.
Yeah, I know. Which, as far as this past time, I mean, I really think that just, there was a bunch of propaganda going around that convinced people away, but I think for the most part, people just didn't show up to vote. Maybe, I don't know. There's been a lot of inquiries into whether or not the election results were valid. As of right now, they're valid, so I'm perfectly fine with the fact that there were enough dumbasses out in America to vote for the orange Cheeto back in. But yeah, I currently, like, I think that people are fucking around. They have fucked around. Now they're finding out. And I think that, as we've seen with a number of different elections now, I think going forward, we'll see a totally different, like, we'll see a shift in tone as far as, like, how people are voting.
Yeah, I also wonder if there's for a lot of those Trump voters, even if it looks like America is circling the drain because of Trump more and more, there's going to be a tendency to double down because no one wants to admit they've been a fool with their vote. There would just be this natural tendency to hang on to Trump like grim death, with and be with them all the way, even as your job is lost and your savings are gone and your stock market holdings are gone. I don't know. I've seen a lot of interviews with Trump supporters where they're asked about these things, and they seem very accommodating. Well, yes, things are bad, but they'll turn around. That sort of shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's another way that I keep my sanity is I read posts where people have fucked around and now they're finding out, and like, they're like, I totally regret voting for Trump. And then they list the reasons, like somehow Trump has personally affected them. And so now they regret their vote. And it's always amazing to me because they're sitting there and they're surprised that he's doing things that hurt them when he literally campaigned on things that would hurt them, and they just didn't, because and what it automatically translates to in my head, whether this is correct or not, what it translates to in my head is it always translates to, oh, I thought he was gonna hurt the people of color and the lower income people that aren't me. That's who I thought he was promising to hurt. He wasn't promising to hurt me, even though his policies definitely hurt him. Them. And so, yeah, it always makes me think of the fact that this inherent racism to the people that voted for Trump, it always seems to come back to, well, I thought he was going to hurt insert marginalized group here, not me. I'm white. I'm a straight white person.
Meme. There's that wonderful meme that I think it should be taught in school, because it's so accurate. And it started in the UK, and it said, I never thought leopards would eat my face, says Sandra, 42, after voting for the leopards eat your face party.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a wonderful t-shirt with something like that on it too. I should really get one. And but I was thinking that maybe this love of Trump and religious passion are sort of connected, because Trump followers are also very religious, and which means they have experience in believing things that are not true.
Right.
And everything he says is not true. But anyway, that doesn't help anyone. It's just I wish there was, I don't know, some sort of I wish America had two effective political parties.
Oh, that would. Well, I mean, I wish America would have a much better system, like, in place as far as, like, all of our voting goes and everything. Like, right now, I think that there's just a whole lot of bullshit that's keeping us from actually, having a reasonable, like, system in place,
Yeah, well, someone asks, can you mention one racist thing he said or did? Well, putting brown children in cages and separating them from his parents, separating children from their parents, is pretty bad. And I don't think he would do that to Norwegians or British people. But he was asking you that question. He's called Earth in chat.
Oh, Earth. Yeah, I noticed Earth was asking me a couple questions, but I'll start with that one. Do you think Trump is racist? If so, can you mention one racist thing he said or did? Thank you. Well, yeah. So there's actually a legal a legal thing in the 90s, I believe it was, Donald Trump being a realtor developer. He had
And he wouldn't rent to black people, and he
right.
got sued for it.
Yep, he got sued for it. He got taken to court for it and everything. And it's like it was undoubted that he was being racist in his the way that he weeded out tenants and tenant applications.
Right.
And so he's definitely racist there. You could also look at the fact that you had a lot of black conservatives that simped really, really hard for Trump in the election after they dropped out and everything. So you saw them do that. And if you'll notice, there's not been one of those people that have been put into a cabinet position at all. The one person of color that has been Kash Patel, I believe. I don't think that the rest of his cabinet positions have been filled with, anything but white people. So I mean that's kind of like the token black or person of color, friend. It's like Trump can't be racist because he's got a friend that's not white, kind of thing.
Well,
and
Kash
so
Patel, I think, is the FBI director, right?
yeah, he is. And I think that the reason why he put him there is probably more just because of somebody else picking him. And I think that it's just because of his views that he's there. And like his views were so radical, or what he was wanting to do to fuck up the FBI was so in line with what Project 2025 wanted to do, that they're like, you know what? Yeah, maybe he's got darker skin, but that's fine. Like he's gonna do what we want, and then we'll get rid of him. I feel like is what the game plan was there.
Wow, look at all these examples of racism that are coming up in chat. So we've got 4 or 5 of them now. And
Yeah.
they're eating the cats, they're eating their dogs, and they aren't using any HP sauce or steak sauce. Sorry, that's disgusting.
Oh yeah, and his whole xenophobic anti-immigration stance is racist in general. Because if you'll notice, like they're not going after like white people. Like there have been white people that have been detained because they're foreigners, but I mean those are like outlier situations, right? What you have the majority of is people of color that are being deported, whether they're U.S. citizens or not, and it's all because basically they're using that whole Family Guy color coding thing, like white not terrorist or not illegal immigrant, and then the darker people of color colors are going to be they're definitely illegal aliens, and so like. That's essentially what it's doing, and that's essentially the way that Project 2025 people and the Trump administration have portrayed this entire anti-immigration thing. It's just a racist, xenophobic way to create an outgroup for the MAGA cultists to focus all of their blame and all of the fault on. And so that's what they're doing right now. It's like everything that's wrong with America, it's because of Biden's open borders and all this other stuff. So they've demonized Democrats, they've demonized immigrants, they've demonized undocumented persons. Like that. Oh yeah, Cernia brought up the Central Park 5. That's another good one. Along with they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Yeah.
They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, and this isn't South Korea, but would it be such a terrible problem if they did? After all, America's a lot of stray dogs and cats. So
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just being provocative.
No,
The
you're fine.
Okay. Why aren't other people calling in? We've got 30 people watching now,
Well, yeah.
and
So
I tire easily.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to go, that's perfectly fine. I've got Oblivion queued up, and I was gonna play Oblivion until for a while, but I did kind of pick a really bad time to do this because
Mm.
right now Forrest and Austin Archer are live over on the line, and they're taking calls, and so like they're gonna be getting a whole lot of viewers. Like, um, I'll go.
Why don't we
I'll
prank call them?
prank call them. No, I'm fairly
Yes.
certain they would know.
I know, but I've done that to them. I've done that both to you and Dr. Josh a couple of times. For
Oh,
some
have you?
reason, you and Dr. Josh are on. Yeah, I'm the one who came up with the notion that the universe requires a creator, and that the creation is probably a horseshoe crab named Malcolm.
Oh.
And I did it better. I can send you the link sometime, but I shouldn't have even mentioned it here because I'm not ready, and it didn't sound. It's supposed to sound like presuppositionalist bullshit,
Uh-huh.
and which is a lot of fun. But I can't do it off the cuff like Dr. Josh can. He can just start talking that way. It's amazing,
Hmm.
and I have to actually do research and find presuppositionalist videos and then write down their stupid shit and
Yeah.
then add ridiculous stuff to it. But
No,
if
yeah.
it's okay, I'm going to sign off
No, that's
because
fine.
I am easily tiled. Oh, we've got horseshoe crabs are extremely important in medical research. Yes,
Hmm.
they certainly are. I will sign off, but thank you for having me.
No, thank you, their big zebra, for filling up the time, and also so that people didn't have to witness me playing Oblivion horribly.
Well, I don't know what Oblivion is, so I'll hang around and watch it and maybe fall asleep while you play.
Okay.
All right.
All
Thanks
right.
so much, man.
No, thank you. I'll see
Bye
you later,
bye.
big zebra. Bye. All right, that was a great first call to open up. Earth, I know that you have a lot of questions in there. And if you want to call in and talk about how Donald Trump is racist, we can definitely shift the topic in that direction. I'd love to talk to you about that. You can call in. The number is 256-634-6984, as you can see on the screen, or you can hit up the link in the description for calling in through the web link. So you can hit that up and you can call in. Either way, but yeah, I definitely want you to call in so that we can have a conversation. If you don't want to call in, that's fine, but I'm not going to be answering any more questions from you in the chat. I would really appreciate it if you'd call in. That way, everybody, like even after like this post live, they don't have to like read the comments in order to find out what in the fuck we're talking about or anything. Thank you, but I just do chats. Okay, well, if you only do chats, then you're just going to get ignored. And if you continue to ask questions, then I'll just have to mute you or ban you from the channel. So I mean, I don't want to have to do that, but at the same time, like this is a call-in show that I'm doing, and if somebody else wants to call in and ask me the questions that Earth is asking me, instead of Earth manning up and actually calling in and talking to me somewhat face to face, then that's fine too. But we can definitely go through any of the things that Earth asked about, but yeah. So over there on the line, they've got a lot of people watching, which is probably why we don't have a lot of people. Plus, I didn't set this up in enough time. So I really didn't expect too many people to be calling in, especially at the very, very, very beginning of it. That's why I was planning on streaming for a couple of hours at least. Which we're on what? Almost an hour in. So, yeah. All right. We don't have anybody calling in. If you want to talk about why Donald Trump is racist, why Donald Trump is horrible for America, why Jesus probably didn't exist, or that the Bible isn't true. I'm sorry, Earth. No, you can't. I don't know how much clearer I can make this. Earth, this is a call-in show. If you want to ask me questions, call into the show. I don't want to see any more questions from you in the chat. Just to be clear, because this is a call-in show for people to call in and ask their questions. Kind of a nut up or shut up situation here, okay? Oh, Big Zebra. Let's see. All right, Big Zebra, I just made you a moderator so that I believe that you can put chats in there. I'm sorry. Okay, I hid. I did something wrong. Let's see. Put user in timeout for 1 minute. There we go. Okay, Earth, I've timed you out for a minute. Okay, I hid you initially. Now all your questions are gone from the chat. Earth asked what the chat is for. The chat is for people to interact with each other and talk, not to ask me questions. That's what the chat is not for. The chat is not to ask me questions when this is a call-in show for people to call in and ask me questions. Like, I don't know why that's so fucking hard for you to like understand, but like fucking get that through your skull. The chat is for you to interact with other people that are watching. Questions are for you to call in and ask them directly to me, unless you're asking a question from somebody else that's in chat, not me. Anyways. All right. So I do let's see. I do have a couple of speaking things that are coming up. So this coming week, on Sunday, I am on the Atheist Experience. I'll be on there with Forrest. And then on Monday night, I will be on the line on Skep Talk. And ironically enough, hold on, let me double check this. Underview. Yes, so Sunday the 11th, that afternoon, I will be on with Forrest Valkai on the Atheist Experience, taking calls there. And then on the 12th, I will be on Skep Talk again with Forrest on the line. So both of those days, which is awesome. I'll be with Forrest. I'll be streaming with Forrest 2 days in a row. Yeah, so Big Zebra, you put the above link as a prank call to Dr. Josh and GE. Definitely put that link back in there, because I put you as a mod so that you could add links, just like you did right there. So definitely do that. I don't think that Earth is going to be calling in. Although I would say that it's fairly disrespectful to like join a chat just to ask me questions so that you don't have to like actually call in and interact with me, and then just be like, I'll just talk with other people in the chat and act like you're not fucking here. Like that's a little bit rude, but it's whatever. Okay. So do call in if you're watching this and you disagree with me on whether or not Jesus exists or anything like that. The number is 256-634-6984. I'd really love to take your questions about that. Let me post over here. Let's see. Hold on. Show link real quick again. I'm posting for anybody that doesn't know. Link in comments. Let's see. I'll put. Posts with images seem to do really well, so I am gonna put random mythicist meme that I've already got made up, and I'll put that on there just to stir some shit. There we go. Anti-Trump meme. There we go. I guess it's a little like the anti-Trump meme's a little at odds with me talking about, hey, I'm doing a stream on mythicism if you want to talk, but it's whatever. Okay. There we go. Oh, we do have a caller.
Oh,
hello.
Hi. It's Ashlin.
Oh, hey, Ashlin. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Just, getting back from vacation and everything like that. And, I'm doing this whole fundraiser thingy, which has been, is going to be fun. I'm on tomorrow from like 2 to 3, I think, over on the line. And we're doing like weird games or something like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to catch that. I'm trying to get more on YouTube because you've switched over to YouTube. I know we met over on TikTok, so. No, I was just calling to. Oh, sorry. I think I have a lag. Sorry.
Yeah, there is a lag, but no, yeah, I was gonna say that I still plan on being over there on TikTok. It's just that since they're doing the fundraiser through the YouTube's giving like thing, that's why I'm doing this whole thing over here so that people can directly donate if they want to.
Oh yeah, YouTube's a lot easier for that. They don't try and take $1 million off of everything. No, I just called to continuously crap on Trump. I'm kind of more into that right now.
Oh, do you want to talk about how Trump is definitely racist?
Oh yeah, there's so much indication. I can't believe that people still have a question on that. Marking C on applications for apartments. They've done investigation on this. I know it was in the 70s, but he's never formally apologized to it and kind of readily doubles down on it. And his treatment of individuals, especially within the armed forces, where he doesn't seem to promote based on ability, calling DEI and DEIA an issue for merit based is just literally directly saying that people who are of minority populations are just, they get the positions because of that rather than the fact that they've had to fight even harder to get those positions.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's the lag. I'm not very good with lags.
No, that's fine.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna say that Trump, like the issue of Trump being a racist, the MAGA cultists and everybody that claims to be sort of mediocre or in the center about Trump or whatever. I guess the main tactic that I've seen is just they play, oh, he's got a black friend kind of thing. Like, oh, well, he's been nice to black people, like, with Fox News hosts or I think it was Janine Pirro. He just appointed to the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., right?
Oh, yeah, but you can be a racist and hire minority populations. I don't understand how that's a defense against, that's like, well, I don't do racist things because I have a black friend. That's that exact same argument.
Yeah.
Like even during tumultuous times in the American history where, we were much just awful just absolutely during times of slavery or Jim Crow era. Like we still put people in positions that were part of minority groups. Doesn't discount the fact that these same people were also, promoting the oppression and sometimes death of individuals.
Yeah, and it's crazy for somebody to not see, like, the pervasiveness of the racism throughout the conservative movement and especially the MAGA cults. Like, I don't know, I don't really understand them. Oh shit!
I don't think they're.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They're not uncomfortable enough. Because honestly, sometimes it comes down to making them uncomfortable and having to confront the fact that this is true, and then having them actually put 2 seconds of thought into something instead of just throwing their hands up like, I'm the victim, I'm the person that, look at these people attacking me, I did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I really don't understand people that make those kinds of arguments as far as defending Trump on that. But Ashlin, I'm kind of curious for you. What has been the worst cabinet pick that Trump has made so far?
So this is just a really biased perspective. RFK to me, Junior, is because it has to do with public health and safety, and we were already behind on Black or people of color. So I've heard different people tell me which term to use. I try to be inclusive and listen. But we're already behind on their medical care. They are being, discriminated and leading to their deaths based off institutional characterizations for things like pain, for research-based, and I think it's less kind of viewed by the media as harm, but it will actually likely, in my opinion, lead to more deaths of individuals.
Yeah, I mean that's a great pick. Did you hear about his proposed solution for the measles out there in the the Midwest states? For those measles outbreaks is for people to basically force feed their children cod liver oil.
Yeah, vitamin A, and that's going to harm the evidence for vitamin A being a treatment in relatively healthy children is it's not there, and vitamin A is part of a class that are they kind of adhere to fat, so you can overdose on them, vitamin A, D, E, and K, versus you have vitamin B's and C's that are water soluble. That you can technically overdose on those. We used to put B12 in beer, and we learned that you can eventually overdose on those because people would overconsume. But the harmful effects of this is just wild. And I know they were calling for his resignment, and oh my God, I forgot the doctor's name that he put under him as well. He was actually not a doctor. David, I think it's David something with a G. I always am so horrible at names, but he would actually chemically castrate autistic children off of these lines of experimentation without their consent. They had no idea that this was happening. And he's working with RFK on these policies. It's just amazing to me what the Maha movement thinks is science, or that it's extremely harmful to the public. I mean, I've seen those ivermectin videos of people putting this on, eating horse medicine. I'm like, no, please.
Well, did you hear? Let's see. I just posted this on my Facebook page, but the guy that Trump selected, or is it Trump that selected him? I'm not sure, but he's been put in charge of the pandemic response. and he's the guy that initially came up with the ivermectin like solution.
And hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
Sorry, not ivermectin, but it's hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
Stephen J. Hatfill.
Yeah, I'm names I'm horrible with, but I'm familiar with a lot of the policy. Yeah, the hydrochloroquine. That's a malaria drug, I believe, that was supposed to have like. It's been studied and studied and studied. There's absolutely no reason to continue to push this. I don't understand. I literally had a guy come in to my work and start talking about that. He's like, I don't remember the name of it. And I was like, I know what you're talking about, but I'm going to shut my mouth because I'm in customer service. I always feel like, oh yeah. And just say the name and be like, is there evidence that, oh, I didn't know that.
Now, kind of curious, how does your pick for RFK stand up against his pick for Surgeon General?
I haven't read a whole lot about the Surgeon General pick yet because it's been relatively new, and honestly, I've been dealing with some family stuff, and I just needed a mental break.
Okay.
So I don't like want to talk about something that I haven't like at least familiarized myself with a little bit. Do you know anything? Because that'd be nice.
Yeah, she like I called her in a post a crystal girl, and that's because she's got kooky beliefs. I know she was in a surgeon residency, but she dropped out of it, and she became like this like weird holistic medicine influencer.
Yeah, I heard that. I did hear that. I didn't confirm it yet. I've definitely heard that circulating on social media, which is, I mean, not going into residency is questionable enough, but like then promoting non, tested and researched applications, that's a whole different ballgame. There are plenty of doctors that don't go to residency, and I don't question their knowledge, as you should be skeptical in everyone, even people that did go to residency. But like, yeah, I heard the latter fact, and I was like, oh, it fits. Why am I surprised? But
Yeah, let's see. She dropped out. She completed the program, her surgical residency at the Oregon Health and Science University, but she dropped out before completing it. She went on to start a functional medicine practice, and founded the company Levels, which offers consumers continuous glucose monitors and an app to track their blood sugar. Yeah, she markets various supplements and personal products. She's raised concern about vaccines and the immunization schedule, and she has called corruption. She's called out corruption in the FDA.
Which, like, on its face, I will give skeptics this. On its face, is the system perfect? No, absolutely not. But not one of them have like ever looked at like a risk versus benefit analysis and explained to me how these researchers are pointing out that the risk of like getting a disease from post-viral exposure or viral exposure, like basically when you there are things that happen from vaccines. Absolutely. That is true. 110%. But there are also things that happen when you get the virus. And I'm trying to explain this like very simply. The likelihood of getting those like post-viral diseases are higher in most of the research that at least I've seen. So like having skepticism, completely cool, but you need to have a good reason, because this methodology is one of the best that we have in the sciences. And on top of this, we know for 100% fact that it saves hundreds and thousands, and it's saved millions actually of lives throughout history. So like having skeptics, like being that person, cool, but you're going to need a really good explanation to attack vaccines.
Yeah. And they don't have any good, like, I guess counter evidence against vaccines. They just, they have their, those bad studies, at least that one study that was done that started the whole vaccine skepticism thing. And like, as soon as that was put out, like it keeps staying out there like a cancer.
Oh, the one on autism that had to be redacted for the fact that there was links to, and we redone that over and over and over and over again. And yeah, there is absolutely no link between the two that we're able to see, and we've vaccinated millions and millions of children. Yeah, that getting resurfaced and being connected are just amazing to me, that they like only consider that factor, and not that our ability to diagnose has expanded, and same with our access to medical care, that is expanded as well. So naturally, you're going to see increased rates. Now, to say that there's not other environmental factors going on, sure, you can absolutely say that, but to say that the causality off of an association that doesn't exist is vaccines is blatantly false. And
Yeah.
the fact we have to debate this now, like we should be doing other things to help children with autism and adults with autism as well. And now we have to, like, it's like we're starting to get there with the mental health, and we're just being yanked down the stairs.
Right. It's crazy to me how bad, the whole health system is getting, because like, our health system wasn't great in the first place, but I feel like it's even worse now, and I don't see it getting better.
No, it's been too monetized. It's been you've got a ton of very great people that want to do the work and want to help people, but there is too much red tape on resources, too much public distrust now because of the movements that are going on, this degradation of intellectualism and scientific belief in scientific integrity, and it becomes more difficult. And not only that, when you're like, I've worked in psych, and it's been just, you want to help and you want to help and you want to help, but you only have so many mental resources yourself and physical resources that you can do. And it becomes this environment that just breeds hostility. I've seen coworkers on each other, patients, it's becoming a more violent atmosphere for healthcare worker abuse from patients to patients and things like that. And it's just, it's hard. It's like, I think that we need to go towards a system in which there is this control over profits mainly, because I don't think that CEOs should be able to make millions of dollars a year on healthcare. I don't think companies should be able to, say that once you paid in all your life to a healthcare system, that you don't get a treatment that'll save your life while making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's greed, I think, for the most part.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And, I think that it's crazy that Donald Trump thinks that if we were to annex Canada, they would have better access to medical care, or they would have better insurance or something like that. Like he said that before, and I think it's totally nuts that he says that.
I don't understand some of these arguments. Like, I've ran the numbers on our cost per patient. Private healthcare spends more money per patient by far on virtually every group except the elderly. Like, when I've looked at the numbers, children are like the lowest because they don't typically have the same like health risk. It's a lot of like just checkups and things like that. But private insurers without deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses, they have that 80-20 rule where they spend, so even when they're paying in 80%, or the health, even when they're paying the same, $6,000-$8,000 on average for healthcare itself, they have out-of-pocket expenses that other insurers don't have. And Medicaid and Medicare have an extensive coverage that private insurers typically don't. It covers virtually everything with no, so they're saying that it can't be done, and then it degrades care. Well, I'm looking at the American system alone, and Medicaid and Medicare, and this is not them paying into it. Don't get that twisted. This is what the American tax paying system pays for the healthcare itself. And I know it's a little more complicated with that because then there's large insurers can go into hospital systems and say, well, we're only going to reimburse you at this rate and things like that. But then you have hospital systems that are going in and making their own cash grab by like buying up hospital systems and then immediately closing them down while making millions of dollars. So I don't particularly feel sorry for these hospital systems that aren't quote unquote getting reimbursed at the rates that other private insurances are doing, 10 to 20% above.
Right. I always find that whenever I get my bill, and from wherever I've been, and I see where it's like, here's how much it cost, but insurance renegotiated it to like 1% of its original cost, and that's what you pay. Because I always make the joke, like, I wish that I could just look at somebody, like, let's say, we're going shopping, like at the grocery store, and it comes up to like, $250 at the cash register. I'm like, nope, I'm going to renegotiate, and I'm only paying $10 for all this. I would love to be able to do that at the grocery store, but because to me, at least from a consumer point of view, that's what it looks like, is like the insurance company, gets told, oh, this procedure costs $1,000. And the insurance company's like, nope, it costs $200. And the hospital's like, oh, fuck, you know what? You're right. Oh shit. So sorry. Wrong number.
Well,
you're right. Of course.
It's funny because technically from a consumer perspective, you are actually inclined to the same things. You just think of them as wholesale shopping like Costco. And things like that. What it is that these larger, and I know this because my dad works in insurance. He actually used to run an ER and worked with billing. They'll go into systems and be like, well, I have this many patients. If you want these patients to go to your hospital system, use your service and get paid for it, you're going to listen to us. And then they kept doing that, and they would close down hospital systems. Actually, one of the original hospitals that my father worked at got closed down because of this particular method. What they learned, though, is they could go into their billing in it's called something, and I forget what it is, and then jack those prices up really high. So when they say, well, you only get reimbursed for 70% of this, they're still making a profit on that. And then when you're in cash payer, when you pay, you say you're uninsured and you go to the ER, they don't change those numbers for in cash payers. You're paying that red sticker label rate. And it seems, well, why is it so high? There's no way it's $1,000 for a Band-Aid. Uh, and that's what happens. And then you get penalized more for even sometimes like having insurance now, because in some states they have different systems where if you're a cash payer, you get exceptionally discounted rates. So it becomes entirely confusing depending on where you are, what hospital system you're working at, and there's no consistent understanding of like what hospital system is doing what. And I know Obamacare tried to address this by, before you go into anything, they should, you should be have access to the information on how much each thing is going to cost. But I think I don't even see that happening. I don't know that much though on this aspect, but of actually informing patients on billing, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess because it was capitalized. It was drawn into the system of capitalism, and there are pros and cons to capitalism. I know that, but to capitalize on someone's life is just wild to me.
No, yeah, that's wild to me too. Like, I don't understand people that do that. But I mean, I've never been a good salesman or anything like that. Which I don't really know how much that really tracks to what we're talking about here. But like, I guess I've never really been good at selling people things, and just because I feel like if you're gonna twist things around, like in order to sell stuff, which I don't think that you have to necessarily twist things around, but I always felt like I had to twist things around in order to like convince somebody to buy something.
Oh, it depends on the product. I think that like there's a lot of like I did work in sales. I've done a lot. And like Dish Network, basically we were told to lie to people and I dropped, but I also sold Cutco. And like I love the product. I still have the product. It wasn't hard for me to sell. It was just honestly me just telling you what the product was, and if you liked it, you did, and it sold. So it's like, yeah, when it will, that also happens, and like with medicine, and it's about those like new medical sales, new medical marketing, all of that. Yeah, definitely pushes into the system, and it's all about who can bring home the most dollar. And I don't even think most people even think about what they're doing is wrong. They're like, well, it's not hurting anybody. It's like, well, you're contributing to the overall problem. But I just thought I'd call in. It sounded like you were looking for callers and trying to get your fundraising efforts up, so to keep people tied in. I don't know. Do you want to tell more about the fundraising thing? Because I'm not very familiar with this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. So every year the Line, a channel that I'm a part of, they do a Recovering from Religion Foundation charity stream where they're raising money, and I think that they're trying to raise at least $60,000 for RFR this year. And what RFR is it's a secular sort of resource for individuals like either coming out of religion, they're suffering from religious trauma, or maybe they need to find like a good secular therapist or something like that. They have resources there to help people recover from religious trauma as well as find help. They also have a number of different services. I've personally used the Secular Therapy Project, which is sort of like a registry of vetted secular therapists that use like evidence-based therapies in order to help you deal with whatever kind of trauma or anything that you might be dealing with. That's especially needed for me in my area because like everybody's religious, even therapists here. So like being able to have a resource where I could go and find a therapist without having to worry about whether or not they're going to just preach Jesus at me was really beneficial. So I personally benefited from the services that RFR has provided, but they mostly provide like therapy resources for atheists and secularly minded individuals that don't want like religion in their their mental health.
That is actually really cool to have a specific resource, especially since atheism is part of a minority population where, you never know what you're going to get when interacting with an individual, and it's not like it's something that comes up right away. You have to like feel it out on what you're dealing with, and it's definitely a good thing to have a like-minded individual with your personalized mental health care to deal with the fact of like losing a community, which is like, to me, I always think deconstruction is like one of the more brave things that you can do and be a part of, but to have someone who uses evidence-based techniques who is also a part of that community, and they assist in like funding for this, like if you can apply to have those like services covered, or do they just do like kind of the counselor aspect where they get you to those resources?
Well, I mean, they do both. So they'll definitely help connect you with a therapist that, you can go to and get like in-person help, but they also have like a 24/7 chat line, where you can either chat either over the phone or, through their text chat feature on the website. And that's, you don't have to pay for that, because they're a tax-free, tax-exempt organization. They, you don't have to pay for those services. I think the only services that you'd really have to pay for probably are ones that you seek out on your own, because of like whatever kind of help you gotten locating like a therapist that you'd go to.
That's really cool. And the link is in your bio, or YouTube is not my forte.
So there should be like a little button down there next to like the where you comment on the chat. And there should be like a giving thing there. We're doing it through the YouTube giving feature, so I don't think that there's necessarily like an explicit link that I can give where people can donate on its own page. You basically just have to donate through the live streams that we're doing. They're doing these live streams like today and tomorrow where people can come in and donate there.
Okay. I don't think I can get on YouTube right now. But I'll definitely go in and give a couple bucks to that, because me and mental health.
Yeah.
My background is so.
Yeah. So whenever you can, either on my stream or on the line. Are you subscribed to the line?
Yeah, I also saw Matt Dillahunty was doing a stream on this as well.
Yeah.
When I was going and checking it out. So yeah, it looks like there's a lot of ways. I'm just not familiar as much with YouTube.
No, that's totally understandable. And this is definitely not me trying to like get away from TikTok. I plan on getting back to TikTok. I had to do it here.
You're originally a YouTuber anyways, like.
Yeah, old school. Like I think my channel I started it back in 2012.
Oh, that's when I graduated from high school. But I will let you get back to it. I just it seemed like you just needed some callers, because it sounds like other people are stealing all your fans away from you. Forrest is very popular.
Yeah, he is. And I'm actually doing a call-in show. Yeah, well deserved. I'm doing a call-in show with him on both Sunday and Monday. So I'll be with Forrest on those days, but he's definitely got people calling in for him. But also there's Austin Archer. Do you know Austin from TikTok?
Sounds familiar. I'm one of those people that needs a visual. Does he play the guitar? Is that him?
I don't think that he plays a guitar. He's here recently. He's really been known for doing the whole. He plays like a hick MAGA person, and then he's like calmly responding to the hick MAGA like talking points and everything like that. So he does that, but he used to produce like some music. Like I remember buying one of his albums that he put out like on Bandcamp. But yeah, if you look up Austin Archer, you'll probably recognize him. But he was recently in a Criminal Minds episode. I don't know if you watch Criminal Minds or have heard of Criminal
Oh,
Minds,
that's
but
cool.
yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I'll have to check him out as well. And I try now that I saw you on YouTube that one day. I was like, I need to pay more attention to YouTube. But yeah, no, I just wanted to get on, say hi, maybe help keep keep the entertainment up. I know it's really hard when you don't have people to call in, because I do TikTok live streams, and it's always like if there's no one to talk to, it's kind of like you and the camera.
Yeah, it's just you sitting there trying to come up with stuff to talk about, and it just doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But I mean, I meant to do it earlier today when things were a bit more calm, but I did not have any time until tonight. So that's why I'm so late starting it today, but I'll be on the line tomorrow. So, if you can't, if you're still wanting to donate, you'll be able to donate in several ways over the rest of tonight and tomorrow. Cause I think they're doing a whole bunch of stuff over on the line.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll probably hop off here and then go check out. And if I can't figure it out, I'll just message you and be like I'm dumb. Help me.
Okay.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Ashlin. You have a great night.
You as well. Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, awesome calls. I do see a couple of opposition people. Kean Aris is talking some major shit there in the chat. You want to talk some major shit like face to face there, bud? You can call in. The number is 256-634-6984. Call in there, or there is a web link in the description if you want to call in using the web link. I would love to talk to you if you want to talk there. There's also the bicycle person, kicking up a lot of shit there. If you want to call in, please do. I'd love to talk to you about any of the religious shit that you're talking about there in the chat. Go on ahead, call in. And, but yeah. So as far as, Jesus not existing or anything like that, I don't think that there's any good evidence to suggest that Jesus does exist. And I don't think that any of the arguments used to establish a historical Jesus actually prove the conclusion that a Jesus does exist. So if you have evidence that you think should compel me to believe that Jesus actually existed in history, I would love for you to call in, and I would love to have that conversation with you. I've currently got Oblivion up. I haven't switched over to the gaming thing yet because we keep getting calls in. And we've actually got another caller in. I may not be able to play Oblivion for you guys tonight because we do have another caller. I'm also playing poker at the same time. I've got my ADHD is on full blast. What's up there? Sorry, I don't know who you are. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This is Daniel, by the way.
Daniel! Hey, Daniel. How you doing?
Doing okay. So, considering.
Yeah.
I'll get on another call or get a hold of you at some point and let you know exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to call you. It's just, we had our vacation thing, and I was kind of like, I tried to be as disconnected as possible during that time.
What? Vacation? How dare you? No, I'm just kidding. I hope you guys had a good one.
Oh yeah, we went to the national parks over there in Utah. And like at almost every national park, I was able to like record some kind of video for the channel. And I was even able to edit a little bit during downtime because we did have some downtime where we were just exhausted because we would go to a national park. We would like walk all over the national park and everything like that. And then we would come back and just sort of chillax at wherever we were staying that night. And so I took time to do it. Plus, there was a lot of driving that we were doing, and so I've got my iPad now that has a data package on it. So like I was able to edit while we drove.
Nice, that's cool. Well, David wants to say good night.
Good night.
Oh, good night there, David. I hope you had a great day today, and I hope you'll have a great weekend.
Okay. Tomorrow's pitching machine.
Tomorrow's pitching machine.
Oh,
I'm assistant coaching for him.
Oh, okay. Is he gonna go and practice batting?
I think so. We're supposed to be able to get a hold of one tomorrow. We'll see.
That'll be fun. The batting cages were always the funnest thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I was never good. I was never good at batting, but I loved trying to bat.
That's how you do it. Try to bat. Yeah. Anyway, my next venture I'm getting into, man, I'm getting into trying to get into day trading. So I've been watching a lot of videos and really studying up because if I go into anywhere else, I'm going to take a $10 to $15 an hour hit, and I can't afford that. Just plain and simple.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I would definitely study up on that. I mean, I did some trading back in, so I started doing some trading. I was like, maybe I should try to buy some stocks, see how I do. And that was right before like the stock market crashed in 2020. And so like, it was the worst, it was either the best or the worst time to get into it because I did make some investments that actually paid off pretty well. But I ended up needing to sell them off and everything like that. So.
Yeah. I see some people in the chat saying not a great time to buy stocks, but that's not exactly like what I'm doing. So, as the market goes down or as it goes up, it has those price jumps and those price declines and stuff like that. And what you're trying to do is get on the front end of that and grab one of those jumps. And you're doing a very short hold on a stock and then selling it right off, not much more than 30 minutes later.
Right.
So
just be careful with that, though.
Yeah.
I would definitely not get into options because I know options can be tricky.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing more like starting out momentum trading. It's a little bit slower. It's not necessarily scalping and stuff like that. You do have to be quick because you want good buy-ins. And then whenever you're going to sell off, you want that, you're going to pull in a lot of profits on it. But you're zooming into like a 1 minute, 5, and maybe a 15-minute window to be able to make those trades. But there's definitely money sitting there just waiting to be snatched up. So, well, I've been practicing.
I would just advise, being very careful about it and don't get yourself into any trouble, like as far as money wise. Don't get yourself into trouble with that. But
yeah, I can't afford to.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Well, how's everything else been?
Been doing pretty good. I mean, I've been out of work now for 3 weeks. That aspect of it, I'm really enjoying. Just doing what I want when I want. Playing a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance too.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking about getting that new Oblivion remake out or whatever, but I don't know if you got still some of those same exploits on the original Oblivion game that I actually like.
Well, I do know that the item duplication is the same, at least the last time that I played it while I was on vacation. I don't know if they patched that out or not, but do you know about that one?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know about that one. I've been using that like since the first game, and I get all those. I got all the DLC for it. So I got that Wizard's Tower, that Thieves' Den, stuff like that. So whenever I build my character, I pick out all the skills that I can level up very fast. And then I get a damage skill spell, cast it on myself, and then level up even more. I think I got like to 120. No, I don't know. I'll have to look at my character and see. But the old Oblivion, like, you play it for so many hours, after a while, it just breaks the game on you and you have to start over. So.
Yeah. Well, so I know that the remaster comes with all the DLCs already, so you don't have to worry about like buying DLC like or you know adding the DLCs. It already comes with the DLCs packaged in it.
Yeah. Have you gotten into any of the Kingdom Come Deliverance games?
I haven't played those. I have seen them, and they look kind of interesting. But yeah, I haven't seen like or I haven't played any of the Kingdom Come stuff.
Yeah, it's a different ball game for sure, because you're starting out like knowing nothing. You know, you might have a little bit of craftsmanship type skill, you know, for blacksmithing, because you were raised by a blacksmith in that game. But
Okay.
I mean, it's a grind to get those skills up and stuff. You'll go out and you'll get yourself killed in a fight, and then it's like, crap, I got to go back and practice, and then I go back and fight the bad guys.
Right.
It's pretty cool though. But yeah. Ugh.
All
Yeah,
right.
other than that, I'm just sitting here watching you, looking up videos on trading and stuff like that, and I'm getting that stuff nailed down. And if this works, man, if it works, I'll have, you know, freedom to do whatever I need, make a decent income.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. I mean, good luck with all of that.
Yeah. I hope it works. I think it will. I got the drive, man. I'm not gonna just up and give up on it or whatever. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I also want to stop dumping the crap he's doing.
Stop what?
Stop dumped and the crap he's doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Our esteemed fearless leader.
Yeah. Fearless. Yeah. So I don't know. What's I asked Ashlin this. What cabinet pick would you say is the worst cabinet pick that Trump has?
Yeah, I would say fucking our Secretary of Defense.
Oh, Hedgeseth?
Yeah, Pete
fuck that
Hegseth,
guy.
that dumbass motherfucker. You know, doing stupid shit that the moron wants to do, our moron in chief, and then telling everybody about it, essentially.
Yeah.
That story doesn't need to go away. Yeah. Oh, I came up with some pretty awesome foolproof plans to get Dump out of office, which is, it would be easy. He would do it himself because he's that stupid. So one of them, like, you know, get a hold of someone in the military that has access to a C-130, put a crate inside there, like one of those big metal crates, put a fake throne, and maybe even put a little crown on it, and tell Dump, like, hey, badass is flying these planes, man. You should do that. Everybody would love you. And he'd waddle his fat ass in there, and then he sees that crate with that throne in there, and he'd sit his fat ass down on there thinking he's all the king and shit. And then they just seal it up, fucking leave a little slit in there to drop ding-dongs for fucking in-flight snacks, and then fly over Russia, drop his ass off in Russia, parachute it down right into Putin's lap, and then Dump can go on to make Russia great again, and we kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
And here's the funny part.
Yeah.
It would actually work.
Ashlyn in the comments says, "Hi NSA, this is all a joke. We are harmless." Yeah, it feels.
Yeah,
like
I had another
easy
one.
to
You
say.
could talk him into fighting a grizzly bear.
Probably. Or maybe you could try to convince them to be like, look, Trump, I totally think you can take on a gorilla. One man versus one gorilla. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah. Yep. Any scenario. And then what was another one I had? I had some pretty good ones. And dude, you'd be glad to know that ChatGPT really hates dump. I mean, really hates dump.
Yeah.
And it threw some zingers at me. I'm like, whenever I was talking to ChatGPT about the whole like send dump to Russia thing, and then, then we'll start seeing all these tariffs coming from Russia, and then ChatGPT goes, "Oh no, not sanctions from Russia. Whatever are we gonna do without your premium beats and knockoff vodka?" I'm like, holy crap! I had to mute that out, and I was laughing my ass off at that one. Yeah, well, those things will totally work. And then I got a plan where I want to it involves grown ass men playing spies, but all we have to do is go into put on a few of the guys put on a suit, right? You pick one of those conspiracy theorists, and you put together all these documents, put them in one of those envelopes that, you use a string to hold it together, and then just stamp confidential on front of it. And then you find someone that you target to make this drop and make it seem like Vice President Shitstain is actually working with Hillary Clinton, because for whatever fucking reason, they just hate Hillary Clinton. That discredits him. The Heritage Foundation loses their face of the whole fucking thing and trying to do this authoritarianism crap. And then Dump is flying off the rails and in the background tweeting out all kinds of bullshit and, tweeting on Truth Social and that. And they will eat themselves from the inside out. And they're too busy trying to curtail that than to strip away our freedoms.
Right.
So
it's
I got some picks that I'd want to bring with. Huh?
Yeah. It's very easy to get them distracted. I agree.
Oh, yeah. Look, it's not our fault that he decided to surround himself with people that buys into every single conspiracy theory.
Right.
I mean, you can't tell them the truth. And then the funny thing, something like that happens, you're going to have the left going on there. Oh, that's obviously fake. That's not going to happen, which is what? That's going to make the right side dig in even more. Yeah.
Sorry.
I've come up with all.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was trying to put up an image on my Facebook page so that I could share the link out once again. So sorry, I'm listening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go for it. But yeah. The only thing that I've been having a hard time with is this adjustment period of me not being at work. And then, I told the in-laws, and you know how the in-laws are, I explain them to you upside down in some ways. They are not happy about it, but I'm like, yeah, it's a transitional period. They're going to have to get used to me just being around, So, but they want to, they were wanting to take David to a freaking Bible camp, to one of those evangelical, dude, I see that video that Owen has up of those kids sitting there crying and raising their hands and, worshiping, I think at the time, George Bush. No, there is absolutely zero way that's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you how things, have turned out with the in-laws. 'Cause I know you had some issues there before.
Yeah. Right now they're in their whole little freak out mode and stuff like that. David's upset because he's not seeing them quite as much as he used to whenever I was working. But, I had them split up pretty evenly between them and my mom.
Okay.
And everything. But now it's just kind of and look, if they would just cool their jets a little bit, I would go over there. I would hang out. I would have fun, but they don't. And then every single Sunday, oh, you could come to church with us. I'm like, yeah, I doubt it. I'd rather sit here on spikes than do that. I've been to that church. I'm like, I know what they're about.
Right. Yeah. Well, what did you say to them about the the Sunday Bible stuff?
I told them, like, no, like, I'm not going to have that. Like, they could bring him to church with him, but I told David, I said, if you go to church, you're going to listen to me tell you my side of things. You're going to get both ends of that spectrum, but you're absolutely not going to one of those Bible camps. You're not going to a camp that is hosted by their church. Just not going to happen.
Right.
You know, and they're like trying to say, oh, he'd have fun. They got pools there. And I'm like, we got pools around here. So what? But yeah, it just worries me that they're trying that crap. You know, I think they're just biding their time until Dump writes his new executive order. Everybody has to go to church. Like, I don't freaking think so.
Yeah, well, I mean, he definitely wants to, he's definitely been crafting executive orders and legislation to, protect religious freedom, which it doesn't need to be protected,
Right. Right. And that's the thing that it doesn't compute. All these people that have all this religious persecution and, oh, they're only picking on me because I'm Christian. No, we're picking on you because you pick on other people. Duh. Right. If everybody would just leave well enough alone, we'd be all right. But they just cannot. Especially my in-laws. Holy cow, dude, they drive you guys insane. Like, man, I drive my own car, like, whenever they want to take a trip somewhere. I'm fine, like, going to stuff, but I got to drive in my own car and follow behind them. I am not putting up with that the entire freaking trip. I did it once, and that was enough for me. Not only that, if they start getting on my nerves, all right, me and Dave, we're going to go check out the Titanic or something. We'll catch up with them later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, man. Well, it was good talking with you, and I do need to get with you on a more private line so that we can talk about how all that shit went down with your work and everything.
Yeah. Oh God, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'll try to give you a call here sometime soon. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm available now. Don't worry about interrupting me. I'm good. Still wake up early too. But yeah, everybody in the chat, donate.
Definitely donate.
We can certainly use it.
Yeah, and the RFR is a great organization. I personally benefited from them through the Secular Therapy Project, where I was able to find a therapist that wasn't just going to throw Jesus at me. So definitely, if y'all can donate any amount will help. So definitely, I hope people can donate. But anyways, it was great talking to you. I do have somebody that wants to discuss Jesus as a historical figure that's lined up. So I think I'm going to move on to them. Okay, bud?
All right. Well, everybody have a good one. I'll still be watching. I want to listen to this. So everybody have a good one.
All right. I'll
talk to you later, John.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So, hold on. Let me get this. Alfred. Let's see. I just bet something. Oh, okay. We split the. All right. So next up, we've got Alfred. Alfred, Jesus as a historical figure. Hi there, Alfred. How you doing?
Evening.
Evening. So hold on. I gotta fix this real quick. Well, what pronouns do you use, Alfred?
He, him.
He, him. Awesome. All right. So you're wanting to talk about Jesus as a historical figure. Or I guess you're saying that Jesus is a historical figure?
Sure, is, was.
Okay, cool. So I'll let you start. I mean, obviously, I don't think that Jesus was a historical figure, so you know where I stand. But what makes you believe that he was?
Well, sure. There are atheists and skeptics who, yeah, the guy didn't ex nihilo, 5,000 loaves of bread or whatever out of 5 loaves and all that jazz. Work
Sure. There's no
miracles.
magical Jesus, but I mean, that's not what we're talking about here, right?
Well, some people might hear this and say, well, of course, that guy didn't exist. What I'm saying is, yeah, there's a guy behind the tradition for sure.
I get it. Yeah, I got you. So I'm guessing are you religious or are you not religious?
I'm religious.
Okay. I guess you're Christian then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a Christian. Let me just, I'm going to mark that down. I got a little pad here that I like to write down my notes on, just so that, I know in case you're wondering what I'm doing. Okay. Alfred, you're a Christian. So, but I mean, I obviously don't believe that the magical Jesus exists either, but I go the extra mile and I say that there isn't even a historical figure that the gospel Jesus is based on. I think that the original idea was read out of scripture from the Hebrew Bible, and that people had hallucinations, they had visions of this figure, and due to their severe religious adherence to the Hebrew Bible, they imagined that this Jesus provided the salvation through his sacrifice, and as a way of creating a comparable mystery cult that was to compete amongst the other mystery cults at the time, except this one was better because it was a Jewish mystery cult. So what evidence do you have that would suggest that there was an actual historical figure named Jesus?
Sure. Well, one is, so as you know, the gospel writers, they consider Jesus to be the Christ. And there's a prominent scriptural text. You're getting into scripture. It's Micah, where it says that the Messiah will come from Bethlehem. And as you know, Jesus in the Gospels, he's frequently referred to as Jesus of Nazareth. In Mark's Gospel, John's Gospel, he's from Nazareth, or that's the implication. And what it seems like what you get with Matthew and Luke, they look at this text, they're like, Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, I get it. But he's a Messiah. So what they do is they have to do this fancy footwork where, yes, he's from Nazareth, but he actually was born in Bethlehem in fulfillment of prophecy. So it looks like they're kind of doing damage control after the fact. Whereas, if it was fiction through and through, you don't have to do all that. You just make him Jesus of Bethlehem. Like, how does your strand of mythicism account for that? You have Jesus of Nazareth as the Messiah. Like, what do you make of that? Like, it seems to me like there was a guy who came from Nazareth, and then later believers had to kind of rationalize, well, yeah, Jesus of Nazareth, but he was really from Bethlehem. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are you going to let me respond?
Sure.
Okay. So the first time that I heard about this was actually from Christopher Hitchens. This is the reason why Christopher Hitchens thinks that there was a historical Jesus. So there's a lot of different ways that I can answer this. The first way, typically how I traverse through the evidence, is I go chronologically, and chronologically speaking, we start with Paul. Do you know where Paul says that Jesus comes from?
Are you going to say the heavens?
No.
He came from a woman, seed of David.
Well, no. So that's you're either talking about Romans 1:3 or Galatians 4:4, and those the words that Paul actually uses there is more akin to manufacture, like he was made. from the seed of David, which if you interpret that literally, he's literally talking about the seed of David, meaning that there's this crap, I can't remember. I can look up the verse, but there's a
sperm bank?
Huh?
Cosmic sperm bank.
Well, yeah, and we can go into that if you want to. I'm sorry, I'm really getting distracted here. So Paul doesn't actually cite where Jesus supposedly is from. Like he doesn't say Bethlehem, he doesn't say Nazareth. So we don't get any information from Paul. And then the only other things that we have are the Gospels. And so like typically I disregard the Gospels because there's no way to know what's historical and what isn't historical from the Gospels. There's no good criteria to make that determination. And so that's why I don't consider it. Well, hold on. Let me finish. I don't consider any of the information from the Gospels to be viable historical information.
What about Luke 3:1?
Okay.
You don't.
Can I ask something
Luke
respectfully?
3:1
No, Alfred. Can I ask something respectfully?
Sure.
I allowed you in your entirety, even to interrupt me, to completely ask your question. You've asked me to answer. I'm trying to answer. Are you going to allow me to answer, or are you going to continue just talking whenever in the fuck you want to?
I can curse as well. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yes, you can curse as well. I don't know what that has to do with anything that I said. Okay, so using the Gospels in Mark, where does the author of Mark say that Jesus is from?
I think Mark 1 verse 9. It says Jesus came from Nazareth to be baptized.
Right. Where does it say anywhere in Mark that he comes from Bethlehem?
No, that was part of my point.
Right. Exactly. It's only later that Bethlehem is entered in, and that'll be important here in a second. Right. And in fact, in Mark, I can't remember where exactly in Mark, but there's actually a solid argument to be made that Jesus more than likely was born in Capernaum, according to Mark, rather than in Nazareth.
Because, he came home.
Right. Well, I say that primarily because the Jesus, the Nazarene, is actually considered by some to be a group of people rather than like a birthplace. And so that's why Capernaum is indicated in Mark as being where the author of Mark thinks that Jesus came from. So I'm sorry, do you want to say something, or can I continue with my answer?
I'm listening.
Okay. And then we get to the Matthew and we get to the Luke, where Bethlehem is mentioned. Now, for one thing, obviously there's discrepancies between the two, and this makes it look very awkward. But the problem is that Matthew and Luke both derive their information from the scripture, the Hebrew scripture, that they're working off of. Matthew is more explicit about deriving his information from scripture. Yes. And so what some scholars, not mythicist scholars, but biblical scholars have hypothesized is that the author of Matthew misunderstood one of the references in the Hebrew Bible. I can't recall right off the top of my head which one it is. I think it might be Isaiah 11:1. We're talking about the root of Jesse, and they've linked Bethlehem to the root of Jesse and all this other stuff. So they're thinking that it was there's been a misreading, a misinterpretation of that, but also in the Nazareth or Nazarene part, Natzer, there's a possible misunderstanding with that connected with one of the verses from the Hebrew scripture as far as where like Jesus is supposed to be from. So yeah, there's a lot of different places where the Bethlehem could be introduced and everything like that. But here's what I'm getting to is that our earliest information about this Jesus character coming from Paul, coming from kind of the only independent gospel that there is, that would be the Gospel of Mark. We don't have this problem. So it's only a later issue that arises, and it's only because of misinterpretations from the Hebrew scripture that they are trying to make these things work. So it seems like that is fabricated information, while the earliest information is just simply that if Jesus did exist, we have no idea where in the fuck he came from. And if you were to use the Gospels in any kind of way, the only place that you could solidly say that Mark says, the author of Mark says that Jesus came from, is Capernaum.
That's a strained reading, in my opinion. I mean, he is so frequently referred to as Jesus of Nazareth.
Well, right, but where in Mark, where it talks about, hold on, let me bring up Mark here. Mark 1. Not the NIV. The NIV is a horrible translation. I like to use the NRSVUE is the one that I like. Let's see. In those days, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. So he came from Nazareth. And I don't think let me look at the Hebrew, not Hebrew, sorry, the Greek. Mark 1 interlinear. Let's see. Yeah, that's 1:9, like you said. Mark 1 interlinear. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized in the Jordan by John. And immediately going up from the water, he saw tearing open the heavens and the Spirit as a dove descending upon him. And a voice came out from the heavens, "You are the Son of me, the beloved. In you I am well pleased." So it seems like in the Greek, the Nazareth, I want to say that in Mark, the Nazareth reference, I believe scholars are saying that this is not meant to be like he was born here, but he was part of this group in Galilee. I can't remember exactly. I have scholarship on it in my library, but right off the top, I can't think of which scholar is making that argument, but yeah. So as far as all that goes, I don't think that the Nazareth Bethlehem thing is a problem, because more than likely it's a mistranslation of Hebrew text that caused them to think that Jesus was supposed to be from both Nazareth and Bethlehem.
Okay.
I mean, do you deny that the Gospels got like copied and reused information from the Hebrew Bible?
Oh, well, they cite it often.
Right. And do you know where Paul says that he got all of his information from?
No, I don't.
He got it from Scripture and from his hallucinations or his visions.
No, that's not true.
Okay, can you show me where he claimed to have gotten information from any historical source?
There's like a place where he says, "For I tell you what was handed down to me." And he seems to be referring to like other Christians who met Jesus,
right,
or who knew people who met.
So, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, there was that part where he talks about handing down what was given to him, but I mean that's just him saying that he's gotten this information, or he got this saying, because I think that's 1 Corinthians 15, possibly, where he's repeating a creed that was handed to him.
Okay, well, see, this seems to be a strategy with the mythicists. Like, you guys will find ambiguity where there isn't really much ambiguity. Like,
where have I introduced ambiguity? Where have I introduced ambiguity
where it
here?
says Jesus came from Nazareth.
No. Well,
you think it's not really clear where he's coming from?
No. So you can. So a fictional characters all throughout time have been proposed to come from different places. And even if
Sure.
even if there's multiple different lines of legendary stories about this Jesus figure, whether he existed or not, there could be like there could be different stories about him coming from different places, and so they felt like they had to reconcile them. You just stipulating, oh, there's they worked hard to work in both Nazareth and Bethlehem in these two gospels, but only these two gospels. And therefore that proves that Jesus was a historical figure, when this is in no way separating out historical figure from fictional character. Like, this is not a criteria for stating that Jesus most likely existed.
No, what I'm saying, I would never say that I've proved Jesus existed. I'm just saying it really looks like the guy was from Nazareth, and people came to believe, oh, he's the Christ. So later editors had to go back and say, yeah, he was Jesus of Nazareth, as everyone can agree. Like, that's what he went by. But he was really born in Bethlehem. And you would only really expect to see that with a real guy behind all the tradition.
No,
like, if he was fictional, it would have been Jesus of Bethlehem all the way through.
No, that's not true. Because I mean, so I'm saying that that's not true, because you can have multiple different legends that say somebody is from somewhere or have different aspects to them that contradict like the two different legends. And you have to figure out a way to reconcile those, right? But that's in no way indicative of a historical character, because fictional characters can also have multiple different lines of information that contradict one another. So this literally is not any, all you're saying is that there was an argument about the story of Jesus, and that does not implicitly indicate that, you know, there has to be some kind of historical figure behind it. If there was a historical figure behind it that was actually born in a city, then I don't think that we would actually see this problem. Can you name another historical figure that has this problem?
Like, I'm sorry, what's the problem? Like his birthplace?
Well, right. The problem that, oh, there's, you know, Jesus is from Nazareth, but he's also from Bethlehem, and trying to reconcile those two things. Like, can you cite like another actual historical figure that people knew where he was born, but yet multiple different birthplaces have come up, or multiple different characterizations of something that's happened to this person in his life ballooned up, and that they somehow merged them together?
I know there are two different dates for Chopin's birth. I don't have any off the top of my head, but I could probably come back in a day. Not that I'm expecting to, and
okay,
it wouldn't be hard to find two birthplaces.
Well, right, but do you then have stories later coming up about Chopin, you said, that have him being born on both of those days?
Both days? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. No.
Okay. Because that's exactly what's happening here with this. Like,
No. There's a difference between dates and places.
There's a different, I mean, it's all information. So, like, whether it's dates, places, birthplaces, like, I mean, you have fictional characters from the past being born on different days and different places and everything like that. Like, this is actually part of like legendary, like, this is how legends like are changed and changed through time and are manipulated. Like, this is how does this indicate that there really was a person, a historical person there, for there to be some kind of discrepancy?
I don't mean to be condescending. Like, it's really simple. These people from the beginning, or at least early on in the tradition, believe Jesus is the Christ. And so it's like, well, why couldn't they get him in Bethlehem from the beginning? And also, like, why do you think they named him Jesus? Like, that was a very common name. Why wouldn't they call him Emmanuel?
Well, no. Well, I mean,
it
that's
would be
one
like
of
naming
his
your
names.
name character Bob.
No, so that's one of the Savior's names is Emmanuel, because, you know, that was that appears in the Old Testament.
That's the Messiah's name.
Jesus is technically in Hebrew Yeshua, and Yeshua is actually a name that's connected to Yahweh, And so like that's why he's named Jesus.
Correct.
It's because it's a prophetic name. It's a divine prophetic name.
Well, I mean, like if you said that name in a synagogue, you'd have like 30 people like look at you and say, "Huh?" Because it is such a
Right.
common name that the meaning of it is almost lost. You know, if you say a word enough
It's not
times,
lost.
it
No,
doesn't
no, no.
have to.
The meaning of it isn't lost. We know what Jesus means. We know what Yeshua means, right? We understand that it has a connection to Yahweh. Yes, it was a common name, but I don't understand from your perspective why this Savior being given a very common name automatically means that he was a historical figure.
Not automatically. Like I don't think there's 100 words that I could put in a sequence that would prove Jesus existed. It's like dozens and dozens of arguments that really come together. So it's not one thing. I couldn't prove
we need
it to
that
you.
for any other historical figure? Like, for instance, let me give you a good for example here. There was a Jesus that existed in around 100 BCE under King Jannaeus. He gathered a bunch of disciples. They worshipped him as the savior of the Jewish people. He was caught by King Jannaeus and he was killed through stoning. And his disciples were also killed after him for being a magician or whatever in the fuck else. And so this is notably different than the Jesus that we're talking about with the New Testament, but we also have direct evidence through like the preserved traditions in the Talmud, and that's a compilation of a bunch of Jewish. Yes.
When was the Talmud written?
Right, in the 7th century, but it's preserving earlier traditions, and there's no way that this Jesus, this was something that was fabricated after the Jesus of the 1st century. This was a tradition that was preserved through the Jewish community. That's what the Talmud is. Like the Talmud is a collection of Jewish traditions that date back, like far back into the BCE time period. So I mean, like it's referencing earlier stuff.
Of course.
Right. And we know that
Okay,
it's
you think
Sorry, go
who's
ahead.
this guy again?
He's a Jesus. His name is Jesus, and he lived under King Jannaeus. Typically, like if you're looking for him online, Jesus in the Talmud.
Okay.
So my entire point in bringing this up is that we can have evidence. We don't have to have multiple lines of evidence. This is one reference in the Talmud, not like one single reference in the Talmud, but I'm just saying the Talmud is one single reference that points to this guy who he passes a smell test for like everything that was going on at that time, and historical names that we've independently verified outside of the Talmud and everything like that. So like this isn't like argument upon argument and evidence upon evidence being piled upon it. This is like one evidence written so much later than what the Gospels are even written, using earlier sources. And that's all that we would need in order to cement Jesus in history. So it doesn't take multiple arguments upon arguments, vague pieces of evidence upon vague pieces of evidence that can't stand on their own. Like all you need is like one historical reference to a Jesus figure in the 1st century that gathered a following, that pissed off the Roman elite, that Pontius Pilate crucified. You give me one independent source that existed either contemporary with or prior to Paul's letters, then you would have pretty good standing.
Okay, so this is a common misunderstanding that if Jesus was walking around in the 1st century, that we should expect to get contemporary records about him. Because, like, apparently we're swimming in Roman documents from that time period, and it's just not true. Jesus is the most well-attested historical Jewish figure of the 1st century. I think besides Josephus, because we actually have his writings, but like we have
Josephus doesn't mention
the letters of Paul. We have 4 biographies of him.
No, the Gospels
and by the way,
are not
you were saying that
biographies.
they're a kind of ancient biography.
No,
Yes, I
they're
don't.
not. No, they're not biographies. And besides, ancient biographies can be fictional. So, like,
Define
you just
biography.
saying they're biographies, it doesn't actually prove anything.
Would you define biography?
I mean, I would define the way that I would define biography is something similar to Arrian's biography of Alexander the Great. So you have a historian that is writing about a figure who cites their sources for that figure. They talk about how they reconcile their contradictions between their sources, and they write as if they're writing a biography of it. They take an active role in their biography. This would be a document that describes the life and events of a figure, but from a very, like, biographies are noticeably biographies, and they do not read like the Gospels read. But even if I were to give you that the Gospels were biographies, that still does not prove that they biographies are only written about historical people. Fictional people have biographies. Moses has a biography, and he's not a historical person.
Okay, well, I'll just to tack one point you said earlier that, you know, we should be looking for things happening that we know to have happened. I think the Gospels in outline, there was plenty of stuff happening like that back then. You have a Jewish man from Nazareth begins a messianic movement. He gathers followers and he travels to Jerusalem. He's perceived as a threat, and he's executed via crucifixion. And then afterwards, some of his followers report visions of him. Like, that's perfectly plausible. There's nothing about that
Right.
Sam Harris, Friedrich Nietzsche weren't on board with.
Okay, I really don't give a fuck who else
that,
thinks it's reasonable. I do think that story could be reasonable, but I also think the reasonableness of it would allow it to propagate unquestioned, and regardless of whether or not the story is true. So that doesn't actually prove anything about the Gospels being historical.
No, I'm just saying it's plausible. Like, it really seems like something that could have happened. And it probably
possible.
happened. Something
No,
like
it's possible, but I don't think that it's
how many
necessarily
leaders
plausible.
killed?
Huh?
By plausible, I mean it doesn't contradict our understanding of history.
Oh,
like,
well, by
stuff like that happens all the time.
Well, what I mean by plausible is that whether or not, like, it happened, and as long, sure, I could agree with you if we ruled out all of the other historical information that we have about that time, but because we have other historical information about that time, the story of Jesus is not plausible.
Well, yeah, the miracles, yes. Well, I'm saying the physics defying miracles, yes.
No, I'm saying that, like, Pilate, the way that Pilate's portrayed is not plausible.
Well, see, that's one. Yes. So you mean the Jewish mob pressuring him into giving the order that Jesus be killed?
Well, I mean, that's one of them, yes.
So why do you think that story's in there? Because, of course, if you're just writing fiction, you have the people you detest doing the deed. It seems in the Gospels what you have is damage control. It's like they want to get along with the Romans, and it's like, okay, yes, Pilate gave the order. We understand that. But it was the Jews, these people we kind of detest on the side who we're really having arguments with. They were the real instigators. They got it done. Like, that seems to be another point for Jesus being real. Like, you don't have to do this elaborate damage control if you're writing fiction. You just say, the Jews killed him.
You're assuming it's damage control. So you're starting with your assumption, and then you're making your argument. That's a leading question, or it's a circular argument.
You don't think that the gospel authors want to get along with Roman authorities?
No. I don't think that the gospel authors cared about the Roman authorities. Like, and it's very obvious that they didn't care about getting along with the Roman authorities. No.
I think it's pretty obvious that the Gospel of Mark was written for a community of Christians who were tired of getting killed by the Romans, and they were like, I don't know if it was obvious, but they were willing to start getting along with them. That is
Mm,
like a standard understanding of the Gospels.
No, well, so the Gospel of Mark was written as like a missionary handbook so that they could teach about Jesus. And I think the reason why the Romans were there is that the Romans were in control of that area. And the crucifixion of Jesus was was supposed to replace the Yom Kippur ritual. And so, like, you know, the Jews, they would have they wouldn't have killed Jesus in the way that they did. So, I mean, they obviously had the Romans do it. And I mean, like everything about the passion of Jesus and the crucifixion of Jesus, all of that can be tied to the Old Testament. It's a rewriting of Jewish like rituals and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could write out a synopsis of my life or your life, and we could see parallels to the scriptures and say, well, look, he's obviously a Midrashic character based on that. I mean, there's some
Can I
obvious
clarify?
stuff in there that's like, sure.
Okay, no, what I'm talking about is the fact that the gospel authors, they use verbatim versions from the Septuagint version
cite.
of the Hebrew Bible.
Yeah. I'm just like, the dying and rising God. Well, that's something separate. Sorry.
I mean, that's an important aspect of it too, but that's not what I'm talking. What I'm talking about is that in the Old Testament, in the Septuagint version, the Greek version of the Old Testament, which is what they had available to them, the gospel writers, that is, they use the exact phrases from it, and that's how scholars can connect the Old Testament to the New Testament, is because of these exact phrases. So, I mean, we know that they use the Old Testament in order to generate stories about Jesus. Like all of the miracle stories that both of us agree, me and you agree, aren't historical in nature. Those were all crafted by copying and changing the details of Old Testament scripture.
I don't know that. I think
do.
those may be parables. They might be kind of telephone stories ballooned out of proportion. I don't know if they were like, oh, look, there are some instances where they're based off of the Old Testament, but like Jesus being an exorcist, I think that's something that could very well go back to the guy. Like, where's the Old Testament precedent for that? There were Jewish exorcists at the time of Jesus.
Okay. All right.
Where's the Old Testament prophecy of that? What Old Testament are they citing when Jesus healed the demoniac?
Yeah, so as far as like you're talking about casting out demons?
Yeah.
I mean, so the prophets of the Old Testament did all numbers of miracles, and so I mean that's just like Jesus being an exorcist and casting out demons, having control over demons. I mean, all that's just part of the Old Testament.
Okay. If I may close with one question, because I'm sure you have other people lined up. So in the Gospel of Matthew. Okay. No, in the Gospel of Matthew, there are these accounts where Jewish authorities are paid off to lie about the body of Jesus, say his disciples took it, all that, yada, yada. And it seems to be written in response to what some naysayers of Christianity were saying, which was that, oh, you guys explained the resurrection with the empty tomb. Yeah, well, some people stole the body. And I guess that's what Matthew or whoever was responding to. Of course, if he were writing fiction, the only really counter response I would expect would be cool story, and I don't really care. It wouldn't be like, oh, no, somebody, if someone wrote a story about Romeo and Juliet that I didn't like, I wouldn't say, oh, they stole Juliet's body or whatever. I'd say, okay, that's your story. I really don't care. Am I making sense?
I understand what you're saying, but what I don't understand is why you think this has anything to do with the conversation. And I just simply look at the apologetic community all throughout the ages, because like, the different arguments and apologetics that have come up are in response to criticisms that apologists get. So like, it doesn't surprise me that, first century Jewish Christians, they were telling this story, but then somebody in the crowd, raised their hands like, but what if someone just stole the body? Then that would explain it too. And so like, it's not all that very rhetorically powerful and convincing. Well, hold on. It's not all that rhetorical powerful and convincing for the apostle then to just be like, so what? Like that's not like that. You're not going to convince people to your religion that way. I mean, the way that you're going to convince people to your religion is to have an apologetic that answers that. Because if you don't have an apologetic that answers that, then it, that's going to persuade people away because you can't answer basic questions.
Okay, I would just okay, well, again,
does that not make
like
sense?
the kind of no, not really, because he seems to be like kind of angry about a tradition he's hearing that the disciples stole the body, and he's responding to it. He's not responding to, oh, the guy never existed in the first place.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's a common.
If he were,
no, so that's a common point that's brought up, and for one thing, we do have in First or Second Peter, we have a reference to the claim that Christians were just following cleverly devised myths. So I mean, we do have that reference early in church history, but also we don't need somebody immediately proclaiming, oh, this is like a mythical thing. I think that the original Jews and Jewish Christians that came up with the Christian religion, they completely and wholly believed in the what they believed. So like, I don't think that any of them were ever, nobody ever claimed that they were telling a false story or that they made it up. That's only later that it was like sort of brought up.
Okay. I just note that Second Peter is like probably the latest document in the New Testament. So I mean,
you think it is
like
is
early,
it later than? Huh?
No, early 2nd century.
Okay, well, if it's early 2nd century, then I mean it's right up there with Revelation and the Gospel of John.
Maybe the Gospel of John. Revelation is usually put in the 90s, as I understand it.
Revelation is definitely a 2nd century document. John is a 2nd century document,
okay.
And scholars are split on when Luke was written. It has to be after 93 AD, but a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that Luke is a 2nd century document as well.
Okay, so that's usually because they think he used what's his name, Josephus. Antiquities of the Jews.
Right.
Oh, sorry, what did I say? Well, anyway,
right.
Yeah, that's not a certain. You can't establish with certainty that Luke used Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews.
Well, I mean, so
there's
a high. I was just going to say there's a high likelihood that he did, considering the information that appears in both documents and considering that both of them get the same information incorrect in the exact same order. One is dependent upon the other, and Josephus, doesn't ever reference any kind of gospel or Luke or anything like that. He'd also be very unlikely to use Luke in the first place. So it seems more like Luke used Josephus.
Okay. Well, I know it got a little heated, and could have been a little better. Appreciate it.
Okay, Alfred, I appreciate you calling in and everything. I hope you'll call in the future. And I hope you have a great night. Oh, did Alfred hang up? Yes, so I'll drop Alfred. All right, goodbye, Alfred. I hope you have a good night. All right. I'm not sure if we got any more super chats or not super chats, sorry, donations to RFR, but that was a really good conversation I had with Alfred there. Kevin McCready, pilot, what are you to Joseph? Sorry, I don't. Kevin, are you on the mythicist side or the historicist side? Michael Bell, do you want to call in? I know you mentioned historicity there for a second. I have been. I was only planning on going maybe a couple of hours. Honey, is everything okay? I think yeah, I'm about done. I know I will be over. I'll be over on the line tomorrow from 2 to 3 p.m. And Sunday I'll be on Atheist Experience from was it 4:30 to 6:30 or 7, something like that. And then Monday night I will be on the line again on Skep Talk with Forrest yet again, starting at 6 p.m. So I'm still in my poker tournament. I'm 231 out of 364. So I'm hanging on by a thread here. But that's going to be it for me tonight, I guess. Don't have anybody else calling in, so I think that I'm gonna stop the show. Let's see, end show. Yep, confirm end show. All right, and then I need to hang up over here. Yep, end. There we go. We're out of that. Well, fudge sickles. I missed my straight. Well, and a flush. I was on a straight and a flush draw, apparently. All right. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Got that all taken care of and everything. Here's this guy. Yes. Thank everybody for joining tonight. Thank you to everybody that donated via the YouTube giving stuff. Sorry, I can't give you a direct link to like donate to it. It's just in the chat there and everything. But I will be on the line tomorrow, so I hope to see you heathens there. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, and all that kind of good shit. Bye, heathens.